Algebra 2 students. In this video, today we're going to be studying monetary loans in detail, okay? This is a very practical chapter, or lesson, excuse me. It does not have a lot of algebra, if any algebra at all, but it's a very good lesson. Your heading today is called Borrowing Money, Lesson 10.6. And be sure and include today's date in your notes, Borrowing Money, Lesson 10.6, and be sure and include today's date. Now, before we get into the actual working of the math problems, I first want to show you something about loans that you really need to see. So at this time, please grab your math books and turn to page 555 and look at the bottom of the page. When you turn to page 555 and look at the bottom of the page, you're going to see that we are looking at example number 1, okay? Now, I'm not really interested in solving the problem. I just want to talk to you about something, okay? Now, if you'll look at the example at the bottom of the page, you're going to see that you're borrowing $1,600. And you do not need to take notes on this, okay? You do not need to take notes on this unless you want to. That's up to you. But you don't need to. You're borrowing the money, and you're going to pay it back in 11 months. Each month's payment is $144.41 until you get down to the last payment here, and it's 44 cents, okay? Which is, sometimes that happens, that's fine. Now, your interest rate is 15%, which is pretty high, actually. Now, here's what I want to show you. Here's your first month, okay? Here's how much you owe. Here's how much you pay. But even though you paid that much, your principal, that's how much you owe. The principal only went down $124, even though you paid $144. Because $20 of your principal, excuse me, not your principal, sorry, $20 of your payment that you made went to interest. So even though you paid $144.41, your $1,600 only went down $124.41. Now the reason that is, the reason that happens is because this is the largest your balance is at the beginning. So your interest will be the highest. Look as you work your way down through here. Notice your interest payments get smaller and smaller. The last payment you make, I'm not sure why there's 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anyways, your last payment here, you pay $144. And only $1.78 goes to interest. So, I'm not going to test you on this, but I want you to listen to me. I want you to realize that when you get a loan, you're paying off interest for the most part. Not first, but a lot of your first payments are going to go toward interest in it. Now listen to this. Are you listening? This is going to help you one day. That only gets worse the longer your loan is. Okay, for example, a lot of mortgage loans are 30-year loans. In fact, why don't we do this? I don't have a picture of this, but everybody listen to me. Turn over to page 557, please. Would you quickly do that? Turn over to page 557 and look at example 3. I'm going to put E3. Now look at the table they give you. Go over to the third column. The third column says this. Payment. Everybody see that? And your first payment is $914.74. Okay? But out of that, go to the next column. Out of that $914, $875 is interest. So, look at the next column. It says principal payment. Principal payment. Look at this. You only paid about $40 off. You borrowed $100,000. And your first payment was how much? This much. And your loan only went down $39. The rest of this was interest. Now, if you'll look down through there, if you'll look down through the chart there, we have 12 payments. Do you see that? There's 12 payments. Look at that. Even the 12th payment still has you paying $871 of interest. Usually your first, I'm not sure how many years, but it's quite a while before you really start paying on here's the bad part about that. The shorter the loan, the higher your payments will be, which makes sense because you're paying back the money in a shorter amount of time, okay? So shorter is better, but shorter will give you higher monthly payments, which is okay if you can afford that. In fact, it's better if you can afford that, okay? Alright, now, let's move on to something else. Let me show you something else here that you need to see. Please turn over to page 556 and look at example 2. Would you do that quickly, please? Turn over to page 556 and look at example 2. Here's what you'll see. You're considering a home for $100,000. Here's your interest rate. And you've got to choose between 20 years or 30 years. Now, here's the catch. If you go with a 20-year loan, here's how much total you'll pay for a $100,000 house. You'll pay $139,000. So you paid how much extra? $39,611.20 because the amount of money that you borrowed was only $100,000, but you paid back $139,000. So this is your interest. Now come down here. If you get the 30-year loan, here's how much the house cost. After your 30 years, look how much you paid. You paid $129,000 in interest, okay? Now, here's a catch. The 20-year loan is definitely better, but your monthly payment is going to be a little higher, $998. The 30-year loan is not as good. You're going to pay a lot more money, but the monthly payment is lower. And sometimes people have to opt for that because it's what they can afford per month. But just to understand all of this and understand how loans work, when it comes to interest and paying things back and stuff like that, okay? Alright, now let's jump into the main math. The principle I just talked about right here can also be applied to cars, by the way. You might want to get a really nice vehicle one day, and you can pay cash and just buy a vehicle, or you can get one, borrow money. And let's say you borrow money to buy a $20,000 vehicle. I have no idea what the monthly payment would be, no idea, okay, but let's say a 3-year loan. A 3-year loan might give you $600 payments per month. But a 6-year loan, and they have those, they're called 72-month loans. A 6-year loan might cut it down to $300 or $400 a month. So you might opt for this. The problem, though, is you're going to pay a lot more interest after 6 years. Now, I'm not sure what the interest would be, but I'm just saying, just like in this previous problem here, one problem you end up paying a total of $139,000. The other situation you paid $229,000. Same thing with vehicles too. So it's always best to go with a shorter loan, time-wise, if possible, if you can afford it. Okay. All right, moving on. The goals today in this video are for you to understand how to figure a monthly payment on an amount of money that is borrowed, and also be able to work out problems dealing with principal payments and loans. Alright, so we're going to look at 2 problems today, and then I'll turn you loose on your homework. First, here's the formula that allows you to figure the monthly payments on a given amount of money that has been borrowed, okay? So one of the things we're going to learn to do today is to take an amount of money that's been borrowed and figure the monthly payments. So here's the formula. Now you know me. I keep moving. Just pause the video as much as you need to, okay? But there's the formula. Now I know these brackets here are darker. That has no significance whatsoever, okay? That means nothing. That's just how my computer typed those. Now here's what each variable stands for. I know I'm going to go fast, and I know you're going to have to pause the video, and that's fine. M stands for your monthly payment. P stands for your principal, or in other words, the money that you borrowed, how much money you borrowed. T stands for time, but your time must be in years. For example, if I told you that a loan was for 18 months, you would not put 18 in for T, you would put 1.5, because 18 months is 1.5 years. So time must be in years, okay? T stands for time in years. Now look at this. This is interesting. I doesn't really stand for any certain thing. It's a formula. I equals 1/12 Okay, so here's how you figure I equals 1/12 times R, and of course R stands for the rate. Alright, I'm going to move on, pause the video if you need to. Okay, let's put this formula to work. Here we go. Find the monthly payment for a business loan of $20,000, so you're borrowing $20,000. The interest rate is 12.5%, and the loan is taken out for a 10-year term. Alright, so let's jump right into this and let's see how we do. Alright, so there's the formula we just learned, okay? So, we're looking for the monthly payment, so I'm going to go ahead and put an M. For P right here, I know the principal is going to be 20,000. So let's go ahead and put 20,000 for P. Okay? 20,000 for P right here. Now put your brackets. Let's go inside. First of all, in the denominator, I'm going to have 1 minus 1 over 1 plus I. So for I right there, let's go ahead and figure what I is, okay? I equals 1/12 R. Okay? So I equals 1/12 times. Now please don't put 12.5. Please don't put that. The rate is 12.5%, but you have to convert it from a percentage to a decimal. So move the decimal 2 places to the left, okay? So it's going to be 0.125. Now let me go ahead and grab my calculator and type that in. 1/12 should be a 1 here. 1/12. If you have a graph, or what I'm going to do is put 1/12 in parentheses. So 1/12 in parentheses and then times 0.125. And if you type that in correctly, you're going to get this. Now I'm going to round to 4 places. And in my math class, that'll be sufficient. 0.0104. So for I right here, I'm going to go ahead and put 0.0104. Okay? And then close the parentheses. So I've made a substitution for P. I've made a substitution for I, and I guess I better put it for I up here too. So that'll be 0.0104 for I right here. Now, 12 times T. Well, T is your time in years. The loan is being taken out for a 10-year term, so we have 12. Put a T right here, or put a 10 right here. 12 times T, or 12 times 10 is 120. So I have 120 power right here. Okay? Now let's go ahead and work this out slowly but surely, alright? In fact, I'm going to go like this to get plenty of room to work. Go like this. And let's get to work here. First of all, if some of you want to type in a lot of this in your calculator at once, that's fine. I'm going to do it step by step, okay? So first of all, I have 1 plus this right here, okay? 1 plus this. So now I have 1 plus 0.0104. That would be 1.0104. Next, I'm going to take my calculator. Now watch, I'm going to take 1. I'm going to type into my calculator 1 divided by 0.0104. 1 divided by 1.0104. Hit enter, and you're going to get something like 0.989707047. Then I'm going to take that number to the 120th power. So raise that to the 120th power, and you'll get this. You'll have, for this entire expression right here, all of this is now gone, and you're going to have 1 minus 0.2889. Okay, now I'm rounding, so our answer might not be exact, but it's close enough. Excuse me. So now I'm going to type into my calculator 1 minus this number. So 1 minus 0.2889 equals, and now my entire denominator becomes this. 0.7111. Okay? So now with my calculator, I'm going to type in 0.0104 divided by 0.7111. Enter. And I'm now going to get this for my entire bracket with 20,000 times, and this whole thing ends up being 0.0146. So let's type that times 20,000, and I'm getting this. Now, my answer might not match, the book answer exactly because I had to round a lot, but I have no problem with that at all. For the problems that we're doing, I'm just trying to get you guys used to problems, okay? Now I'm trying to see if I have this answer somewhere in the book. I don't know if I do or not, but I'm trying to see if I do. I think I do, yes. And their answer is 292.75 cents, so we're off a little bit, but we did round 2 or 3 times. I'm okay with that for this class. If you're working at a bank, they would not be okay with that, okay? Understand that. You would just have to use those really long numbers and not round, okay? So there we found our monthly payment. There it is. So that's how much you would pay per month for 10 years, okay? So you would make this payment 120 times. And I wonder how much, and because we're doing it for 10 years, right? And there's 12 months in a year, so every year is 12 months. 10 years, 120. So I'm just curious. I wonder how much interest we pay. Let's see. 292.5 times 120 equals 35,100. 35,100.55, something like that. So how much did you borrow? 20,000. How much did you pay back? This much. So how much more did you go over 20,000? You went over 15,155 cents. So you paid almost double. You borrowed 20 and you almost paid back 40. So there it is. Okay. All right. Now let's try another problem. This is going to be a little more challenging. So here we go. You have an installment loan for 14,000. You're going to try to pay it off quickly in 18 months. That's a pretty good idea. You have an interest rate of 11%. They don't want you to find the monthly payment. They want you to find the total interest payment. Got it? Now, in other words, they want you to find the total interest that you pay back. Now, hold on a second. Everybody listen to me. Go back to this last problem here. How did I find the total interest? Well, I first had to find the what payment? I had to find the monthly payment, right? And then multiply it by all of your what? Payments. And I found out the total amount you paid back. And then I could compare that to the amount of money that you borrowed and find the interest. You see it here, guys? I had to take my monthly payment and multiply it by all of my payments, in this case 120 payments over the course of 10 years. And that showed me how much I paid back. And so then I knew my interest was this much. So even though they don't come out and say find the monthly payment, if I'm going to find the total interest that you paid, I'm going to have to first of all find the monthly payment. Alright, so here we go again. My principal is 14,000, so I'm going to put 14,000 right here for P. Here's P right here. I put 14,000, then put your brackets. Now let's find I. I equals 112 times R, okay? So I have 112 times 0.11. Let me grab my calculator real quick here. Let's see what we get. We get 0.0092 if you round correctly. 0.0, and again, if you're working for a bank, you do not round like this, okay? You keep everything fractions and keep them as keep from rounding as much as possible for math class. Just for this, I'm fine with this. So your answers, when you go to check your answers in the back of the book for your homework, they might not match exactly, okay? You can always watch the help video to check your answers if you want to, but your answers will be off a little bit. But there's what I equals. So when I come over here, I see an I up here, right here, so I'll put a fraction, and I'm going to put 0.0092. Then down here I see an I right here, so I have 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 0.0092. All of that to the, look at this, 12t power. T is time in years. Now how many years am I going to, how many years is it going to take for me to pay this back? 18 months. No, that's 1.5 years. So for T right here, I'm going to put 1.5. So I have 12 times 1.5. Got it? 12 times 1.5, and that's going to give you 18. So right here, I'm going to put an 18, okay? There we go. So you guys know what to do. First of all, I'm going to take 1 plus 0.0092, and I will get 1.0092. 1.0092. Now I'm going to take 1 divided by 1.0092. And we're going to get this decimal right here. Let me write it in here quickly. So now I'm going to take this number here to the 18th power, and I'm going to get this right here approximately. I'm going to get 1 minus 0.8480. 0.8480. Now 1 minus this number is going to give us this right here in the denominator. It's going to give us 0.1520 if you round correctly. 0.15197, which rounds to 0.1520. So now I'm going to type this into my calculator. 0.0092 divided by 0.1520. Enter. And you'll get something like, I'll go ahead and erase this. You're going to get something like 0.0605263158. Okay, so multiply these two numbers together, and here's what we get. Your monthly payments will be $847.37. So there's your monthly payments, but they didn't ask for your monthly payments. They said, how much total interest did you end up paying? So I have to make this payment every month. I do that for how many months? 18. So let's multiply this times 18, and I'm going to get 15,252. 15,252.63. So you borrowed how much? 14,000. You paid back how much? This much. So take this minus 14,000, and your interest was really not that bad. $1,252.63. That's your interest. That's the total interest payment right there that you made. Okay? Alright, now, I have tried to keep these problems pretty simple, students, okay? There were some other topics we could have studied, like earlier we looked at some of these tables and some of the problems they wanted you to make up these tables. They take too long. It's a lot of work. I just want to cover this lesson quickly and finish the chapter and get ready for your test. But I wanted to mainly focus on finding monthly payments, and I also want to show you the concept of interest, okay? There will be some problems in your homework that we did not go over, but you should be able to figure those out. So as always, if you can't figure those out, use the help video, okay? That's it, guys, for the video. I hope this has been a help to you. If you have any questions, never hesitate to call or email.